sometimes it's about more than manifesting. You got to do the work. We are back. I want to welcome you all to the Keep It Uplifting podcast. I got my man, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Dodd, a.k.a. Mr. Dodd, a.k.a. Mr. Fresh.
I'm back.
And, of course, I'm your host, Uplifting. Please be sure to like, subscribe, follow the podcast, man. Support us. We want to know that you're here. Leave a comment if you're watching this. Leave a review if you're listening in. And let's get into this, man. How you been? You back? This is the third time. You a third time, and now we in person.
Is this the third time on Keep It Uplifting?
I believe it's the third time.
It's got to be the third time, but this is the best time because we're in person.
Yes, sir.
I'm seeing you in the flesh for the first time.
Yes, sir.
This is big, man.
This is big, baby.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me back on the Keep It Uplifting podcast.
Yeah.
For starters, but yeah, man, it's amazing. This is really cool. I'm honestly like a little overwhelmed how cool this is. So I mean, let's get it, man. This is dope. So.
Yeah, I figured I was sitting around and I was thinking about, getting guests back on the pod, right?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I got to circle back to the people that, helped me start it all.
Yeah.
Some of my first guests, but I got to see them.
Yeah.
Right? We did a lot of this pre-end of pandemic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think in general too, like I think the way like content consuming is progressing, like you got to do podcasts in person. Like obviously I think there's still open area to thrive on like Zoom and stuff like that, but in person is just it's so much more of a vibe, and you get to feel what's going on so much more. And so yeah, this is amazing. This is dope.
Yeah. You definitely opened the door to one of my first questions for you is you went on a rant about the way that they're making us do content now.
Yeah.
So dig into that rant a little bit, but also answer the question of how have you made the change to perform well with the new criteria for content?
Bro, I'm going to be completely honest with you, man. I don't spend a lot of time on like trying to keep up with, trends in social media or content creation. It's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because obviously, as a content creator, as anybody who's trying to do anything online, even when you get to business and stuff, like you don't want to be one of those old heads that lets years go by where you don't jump on any sort of transformation, any wave. But, to a certain extent, you do got to stay true to what you do. And, for me, like, I guess let's just be honest, like visual content is huge now, right? Like TikTok took over the world and stuff like that. Right. And that's always been kind of my weakest point in terms of like content creation. So like I definitely really try to attack that head on as much as I can and try and make some visual content. And, it's a little uncomfortable for me, but I try and get comfortable with it, just like you should do in every sort of aspect of everything that you're trying to do. But yeah, I don't really try and like let that affect what I want to do on social media. For me, obviously, my main type of like content creation is shooting fashion content. And for us, fashion content creators who mainly create, content revolving around still frames and photos, like we got basically shot in the chest this year. You know what I mean? Like it was like Instagram was pretty blatant and open about how like, they're just transitioning into like reels and kind of just piggybacking off TikTok, and they're going to not really support, photos anymore. But like I said, I never really kind of let that get to my head. I saw a lot of other co-creators are getting really frustrated about it, and I'm just like, man, whatever, cool, who cares? Right. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I love to do. This is what I'm passionate about. I feel like there's always going to be some sort of space for that, and I just kept doing what I was doing. And I do try and keep up with it a little bit. Like, I'll create reels and stuff like that, but what's really cool too is like I just saw the other day that Instagram's actually kind of making a comeback on photos. Like it's like pretty out there now that they're gonna like go back to photos, which is honestly what I felt like was gonna happen. Yeah. Because you can only thrive off this other stuff so much, enough, man. Right? Yeah, exactly. Like, and there's got to be a place for like that's what Instagram was created for, and like obviously I'm most passionate about Instagram. Instagram's always been like the coolest thing that I've always thought was like super cool. So it's like it's cool to see that we're starting to get some more love on there. And again, at the end of the day, I'm gonna keep doing what I do, and I feel like there'll be some sort of platform for that, no matter what. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm not really a TikTok guy, so it's like, it is what it is.
Yeah, But I see that you've expanded. I see you jumping out the car now.
Yeah.
I see the aerial views.
Yep,
Like
yep.
you're stepping out there. You've made adjustments.
Yeah, and that's like I said, like that was something that was huge to me this year because, looking at like I have other people that I looked up to when I was younger in terms of like I have somebody that I looked up to as a kid that's a local business owner around here, and I've seen the way that his business has progressed throughout the years, and like he's one of those people that like will not change anything for whatever, and it's like this dude is still operating in the archaic times and. His business from what I can see, is not really doing that great. And it's like, man, like I'm not saying you have to like jump on everything, but at some point you got to like change with the times a little bit, or you're going to get stomped out. It's that simple. So it's like, for me, it's like, yeah, let's jump into the visual world. And that's always been kind of the missing link to my content creation process. And so I finally linked up with some cool people, and we're doing some cool things. And then even just pushing me and my normal, my fiance does all my shoots and stuff. So we've kind of pushed ourselves a little bit. Like,
I like that.
It's crazy because it's like, dude, we have this camera, right? We've been shooting photos for like, dude, like almost a decade probably. Right. And I'm like thinking about we need to shoot videos, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm like, there's a video mode on the camera. I'm like, why don't we just turn this on and see what happens? And we shot some videos the other day, and it was like some of the most fire shit I've ever shot. And I'm like, okay, I think we're here. Like, so it's just like about really digging in my creative bag and pushing myself and doing what I have to do. And it's that simple. And obviously, I've linked up with a couple other people that are good with videos and stuff like that. And it's an important aspect that you got to jump on, man. Like, let's be real, you got to jump on stuff, or else you're going to get left behind. And you don't want to be one of those people that's just getting left behind trend after trend after trend. And I'm not saying you got to be out here doing,
Right, but it's originally you, right?
Exactly.
Like you said, you didn't buy another camera.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't take what other people were doing. You said, you know what, let's just turn on a video mode and see what we can come up with. And I see some new fashion. I see some new drip.
Yeah.
So what's going on with that, man? So, is Black Roses still a thing?
Yeah.
What are the new changes there for you?
So Black Roses is most definitely still a thing. Basically, what I did this year, my whole clothing aspect,
and not a thing, a business.
Exactly.
No disrespect.
You're good, brother. All good. No, but basically, what I did was what I've been needing to do for a while, and I kind of split. I split Black Roses in half. So Black Roses now is going to live on as my clothing brand, and then what we really we fully leaned into is the streetwear outlet, which is TSO, the streetwearoutlet.com, and that's my clothing store.
Okay.
That's my clothing retail store. So we've got the two things. I work on Black Roses and TSO. And dude, it's just crazy. It was like one of the most simplest little adjustments I needed to make within my business. As soon as I literally started leading with that name, everything has changed. Everything. And it was just the one missing thing. And as a entrepreneur, as a creator, you'll relate to this. When you create something, like Black Roses was like one of my babies, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it took me like literally a year. I mean, it was one of the most stressful things. It was one of the most hard things to do, but I was like, I was like, man, something's not working with the way that I'm like putting this out there. I need to change it. But I was like, I don't want to get rid of Black Roses, because Black Roses is my thing. It's been my thing for so long. It's been my thing since before it was even clothing. It was I had Black Roses music group, all this stuff. Like, and so that's always been my thing. And then I'm like, you know what? But I need to, I don't want to be years from now just dragging on to this thing.
Never,
let me just
never get stuck on the one thing.
You know what I mean?
No,
so I'm like,
I just want to make sure that point sticks, because everything that you're doing is expanding. You're growing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and you're not afraid to change.
That's what
that's what I like about what you're saying to me.
I used to be. And
really?
It wasn't something that like, again, I used to be, and I had to really like, I had to own up to what it needed to be. And again, I made that change, and it was like the best thing ever. And now it's just like makes more sense. Like people get it. Like I've had so many more brands reaching out to me now, so many more collaborations, just everything, the feedback from customers, like just everything. It's just so it makes more sense now. And it was something I really needed to do, and finally did it, and now we're here.
Yeah, man, we are here. Yeah. This is a change, right?
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? Like,
everything. You have to grow. You have to challenge yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because these changes weren't comfortable, right?
No, not at all. And again, I think like that's like I've been okay with that in other aspects of my life, but like creatively and entrepreneurial way, like it's tough. Like I said, it's like. You get sometimes when you put so much into one thing and you feel so invested into it, it's like you know, like, I mean, I was almost at the point where like, do I need to let this go completely? Like, cause it was just something, you know, I didn't know what it was telling me to do. Was it like, yo, move on from this? Or was it like, nah, just make some changes?
What was that feeling like? Go deeper into that. Pause.
Terrible. Horrible. Like I in my like little business, I was doing so good. And then it was doing so bad. And it was because I stagnated. I didn't jump on certain things. I didn't make changes. I didn't capitalize off growth. I stagnated. I got comfy. And that reflects everywhere in my life. Like all aspects of my life, I got complacent and I got comfy. I finally saw like my first little bit of real success in all aspects of my life. And then I got comfy. I got super complacent and then that all kind of came crumbling down on me. And then, you know, it just slowly but surely, it's like, even looking at like everything I'm doing right now, I'm like, what? Like I just snapped. I was like, dude, I got to do something. I got to change something, man. And so I changed everything.
Where does the fear, where do you think that fear of change stemmed from?
That's such a good question. You know, fear of change. Dude, you know what's crazy is as long as I can remember, even on a personal level, like that's something I always dealt with when I was a kid, and I used to be a part of this church. I was a part of this Christian skateboarding team. Yeah. And we would all get these little individualized tasks that we needed to jump on. And we had like this little project one time, this presentation. And what I coincidentally got tasked with was never fear of the future. And that's just like such a thing that, you know, I think I was like 16 years old at the time, but I think really what that came down to is people were able to identify that was something that obviously was holding me back from like growing, was, you know, fearing change, fearing the future. And I kind of put it in one ear and let it stay there. And then later in my life, pulled it back out to realize like, yeah, maybe I need to address that part of my life. You know what I mean? But as far as where the fear comes from, man, like I said, I think complacency is a bug that bites us all. Yeah. And getting too comfortable is a bug that bites us all. And, you know, thank God my blessings I have, my 4 beautiful children, my fiance. It's a tough thing to fight against getting comfortable. Right.
You got to go after it. You got to go get it.
Yeah, but then I'm looking at my kids, and at the same time, it's like, no, I can't. I need to set a good example, and I don't want it. Perfect. I want them to learn from me. So it's like, I don't want to be, you know. So it was like, again, it's so easy to get comfy and get complacent with the blessings that I've been blessed with in that aspect of my life. But it's like, just digging deep and knowing where I want to be. It's like, well, I got to work. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let's get it. So
yeah, it's funny that you talk about being complacent because, you know, the cameras can't see it, but it got sis here helping out, and you know, we shot up here from Maryland, and we stopped to get some food real quick, which wasn't a real quick thing,
of course.
Yeah. But you know, just to make a long story short, we met this lady who was a bartender. And young lady. Yeah. She was 20, right? Yeah, so she was 20, and she said, I want to change. And we were like, just change. And she was like, but how? Right. And it was just that, like, us giving her a speech over chicken wraps was so crazy, but she was so lost. And it was just like, just make a change. Like, how do I do this? How do I do that? And she had all these obstacles and objections against why she couldn't do it, because she had to figure this out or she had to do that. And I told her, just jump out there. You know what I'm saying? Like you did with the camera, and just switching from stills to motion. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And then you're the perfect example of change, because look at you, bro. Like, if people don't notice this, Dodd has lost a lot of weight. He looks amazing. Oh, man. If you go back in the photos, you'll see the old Dodd, which looked amazing too.
Appreciate that.
Right? Yeah. But you've been on a mission, man.
I've been on a mission, bro.
And the growth that you're talking about in your business, you can see it in yourself. Yeah. You can see it in just your whole presence. The chain is chaining. You know what I'm saying? But what is your regiment now, as far as how you lost that weight? Like, what was that process, and how did you get there?
Man, I think everything you just said is so loaded, and I want to touch on real quick. I want to touch on the little exchange you had with the young lady at the bar. I feel like there's so many people that are in that same situation where they want to change so bad. Right. And you can even, you know, and first of all, like, maybe even just you being there and saying those little things that you did, those can help people, right? But I think in general, I think people want to change so bad, and they get so caught up on what they want to be, right? Oh man, I'm this bartender, but you know, I really want to be a veterinarian. And they get so caught up on being that veterinarian that they don't even start to think like all you have to do is just take little steps. You know, start making small changes to get there. Start stacking up small little changes to get to where you want to get to that eventual goal. Like hypothetically, she wants to be a vet or something. It's like start doing what a veterinarian would do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, dude, that's kind of like how I applied it in my life, like you said, and I appreciate the compliments too. Like, yeah, I lost about 35 pounds, and for me, it's kind of like,
yeah. Hold on, we gotta clap that up.
Yeah, you good?
Yeah, we gotta turn it.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, we gotta clap that up, bro.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
You know,
we're gonna give you one more round of applause because it wasn't loud enough.
Let's go. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Let's go.
My boy out here looking good.
Thank you, man.
Yes,
I appreciate
sir.
you.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate you. You know, man, I just feel like in terms of like the gym, dude, like the way I look at the gym, there's two things I want to say about that. And like, you know, I've always been in the gym. I've always been working out, but I think as a young man, I think the gym is always the first place I go to. Like if I find myself in life, like I feel like I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing good. I'm not in a good place. I'm mad. I'm letting shit slip. The gym is always the first place I go to, and it's because it's always the first place I feel like I can have the most control over. It's always the first area of my life that I feel like I can just viciously attack and take full control over. Because I think as a young man, it gets frustrating when you want to accomplish things, you want to do things, but it's like you see all these things in the way. Maybe it's a business partner, maybe it's a job, and you got to wait on your boss to do this, or maybe you got to wait to get this. The gym, you can just get at right now.
Yeah,
it don't matter. You don't have to go to the gym to do it.
Yeah,
you can start doing it in your living room. You can start doing some push-ups, doing some running. It's always the first area of my life that I feel like I can control, and I love that. Like, you know, it's like easy. It's like, wait a minute, you're telling me all I have to do is just put the work in?
Yeah.
Like I don't even have to chase around for some sort of opportunity, or I don't have to make a connection here. I just got to work. It's just, it makes the most sense to me. Like when I walk into the gym, let's say I'm there for an hour. In that hour, it's up to me what I get out of it. Like I am in full control of what happens in this gym right now. It's either I work really hard and get really good results, or if I want to be lazy, I'm lazy. Right. And that's what it is. For me, the gym has always been like, it's the first place that I always go to when I feel like I'm not doing good in life. It's always the first place that I go, the first area of my life that I just attack with like as hard as I can, and then everything else propels off that. You know, because then you just get down to like, and again, I'm not a professional nutritionist. I'm not a personal trainer, but it's like, it just makes sense. When you go to the gym and you feel good and you work out and you get good results, everything else feels good the rest of your day. You feel like you want to be productive. You feel like you want to eat clean. You feel like you want to kill it at work. You feel like you want to kill it in your business. You feel like you want to be smiling and be happy and positive to people around you because you feel good. It just makes sense. You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, it's always been like, and it was just crazy. That was the first thing I started to attack as much as I could, was just the gym. And I just went savage, and I was like, man, I've let this slip, not only the gym, but every other area of my life. Like I said, I got bit by the complacency bug. I was getting fat. I was getting comfy. I was just, you know, and I'm like, man, I got to go harder. I got to just do more. This ain't me, and this is not what I want. Let's work. You
are such an inspiration, bro.
I appreciate that.
I'm about to go work out after this pod. I'm about to do 12,000 push-ups. But seriously, you are right, man. Like, I've been going to the gym, definitely not in the capacity that you have, of course, but just getting back, it does help get that energy level go crazy. Yeah. And then you start doing so much in the gym that you're like, well, I can't let myself down for what I'm doing in there, bro, by eating this, right?
Yeah,
you know?
and bro, I want to tell you something. It's crazy. Like I said, I lost like 30 pounds. Bro, I've worked out 3 days a week for the past 4 years, something like that. Yeah. I didn't change anything in terms of like my routine in the gym. I didn't change anything. I'm doing pretty much the same routine. And it was like my time in the gym really was like nothing compared to what I was doing outside of my life.
So look, man, you got to tell me where.
Yeah, and this one,
what dark place were you in, bro? Because all right, so I want to just let you know the last couple pods that I've done, even the last episode, my man was talking about a dark place. Shout out to Shaq. Mm-hmm. The episode before that, Diego was talking about how men suffer in silence. Yeah. The episode before that, we were talking about how men can't even cry, which not to say that they need to cry, but a man has to be the backbone, the calm, cool, calm, collected dude all the time. So what type of place was you in where you had to hit this switch?
So for me to be honest with you, man,
because you said you were comfortable, but
yeah,
I feel like it was a little bit more to that, man.
No, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you, and I feel like I feel like there's a space for that, and there's a room for that, and I feel like men do need to talk about that. But to be honest with you, man, when it comes to depression, when it comes to anxiety, when it comes to dark thoughts like that, I chased those demons out of my life a long time ago. I've been out of that for a long time, and I did suffer from things like that at points in my life. But I chased those demons out of my life a long time ago. I'm telling you, for me, it was almost just more. It was like deeper than that. It was again, it was complacency, but it was also really just looking at myself in the mirror, looking at my life in general, and just realizing I'm letting shit slip. I could be doing so much better. I'm doing good, but who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like, oh, you did this, you did that. Like, I gotta stop getting so high on the highs, so low on the lows. Like, I could be doing so much better. And again, I'll bring my family into this again, but I was like, dude, my kids and my fiance deserve so much more from me. I'm like, for me to be
powerful, bro.
For me to be doing anything less than 100% is just a disservice to my family. It's a disservice to my kids. It's a disservice to my fiance and her family and my family and everybody who supports me and loves me and takes care of me. It's like, if I'm not going 100% all the time, it's a disservice to them. And so, again, it sounds really selfish, maybe even borderline narcissistic, but the reality is I can't help my kids and I can't help my fiance until I help myself.
I don't think that's...
You know what I mean?
We don't talk about that enough, man.
Yeah, we don't.
Like the way that the way that it's talked about is not in a way where it's okay to be selfish. If you can't love you...
Yeah, that's what it is.
And, even that sounds narcissistic, but if you don't love yourself, how you going to be able to love somebody else?
You can't, yeah. And
if you're relying on somebody else, remember the dude who was happy, what was that dude? And he committed suicide. Like,
the Twitch?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like, not to be morbid here, but
of course, yeah.
That guy seems so happy.
Yeah, I know,
right?
Man. I
so
know.
You could do all of this for somebody else.
Yeah.
But like you said, you looked in the mirror.
Yeah.
You was like, dog, we got to get this together first.
Exactly. The way you just said it is exactly that. And like I said, because I learned that lesson in business. Like in business, until you establish yourself or help yourself, you can't help other people. But it's the same way in your personal life. You know what I mean? And I just realized, like, yo, I'm letting shit slip.
Yeah.
What are you doing, man? I'm like, come on. Let's go. What are you doing? Like, you want to do these things. You wanted, and I never was like, I didn't make it to the point where I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is all I want to do. But like, for a while, I stuffed that aside, and it was like, again, I really had to look at myself like, man, until you get your shit right, like, there was times I had to tell my fiance, like, if I'm gone for a few hours tonight, I'm like, please don't be offended. I'm getting my shit right. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go out, and I'm not coming back until I'm drenched in sweat.
Right.
And that's it. Like, I sat her down. I'm like, if I'm gonna be in a routine right now, and don't get offended if I leave the house and not come back for a little bit. But, like I said, I'm going to come back drenched in sweat. I'm working. I need to get myself together so that I can get us together,
Right. And how is that, I'm glad you touched on that. How has that helped your relationship?
Dude, everything. Like it's helped every single aspect of my life. Like I said, when I was at this place where I realized I'm not doing good. I don't feel good. I'm letting shit slip. I'm dropping the ball in every aspect of my life, my business, my relationship, being a father, being a friend. I'm dropping the ball. And I started with just getting my mind and my body right. And then if you put them all together, it's just, I've said this before so many times on all social media platforms, but I am simply striving to be the very best version of myself that I can be, and that's all I can ask of myself.
Oh, man.
I'm not setting some grand goal that I want to be this, I want to be that. I want to push my life, and I want to push me and my body to the red line, and then a little bit after that. Right. I want to see how far I can take this. I want to see what I can accomplish, and I just want to be the best version of me. I don't care if I don't achieve this, achieve that. I don't want, I need to make, millions. No, I don't have a single like monetary goal or something. I just want to be the very best version of myself. And that started with me physically getting myself in shape, getting back together, because you can just learn so much about yourself as a man in the gym. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you're willing to just push it there, then you push it in every other area of your life. And yeah, like I said, it was just about getting me together so that I can improve every other area of my life. And bro, I mean, just physically talking, it's just like, dude, I have so much more energy. I'm feeling clear. Like I'm getting my mind, body, and spirit in the best shape it can be, man. I'm feeling more together. I'm more on point. I'm more confident. Every aspect of my life has improved since like getting my body together.
That one change created a domino effect.
Yeah.
And speaking of crazy changes, you know, you gave me a little bit of information about how I could use one of the biggest changes that seems to be coming into the workplace, content area, just every area, warehouse, whatever you want to name it, AI is coming in. So, you know, how is any of the new advancements in tech changed your business?
Well, I'll just say from like, in terms of like, I think everybody knows about ChatGPT and there's a huge buzz around that. And like, I just think it's funny because when you bring it up to some people, you can see it. They're like, kind of like, but
right.
No, like I'm telling you.
You can see that they don't want to change.
Jump on ChatGPT for yourself.
Yeah.
Play around with it for a minute.
This is not an ad, by the way.
Yeah, it's not an ad. Play around with it for a little bit and it will change your life.
Right.
And I really truly believe, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I really it's the fourth industrial revolution, man. Like that's where we're headed. It's going to, and you know, the reality is you either need to learn it, adapt to it, or you're going to get stomped out and stomped over. And it's that simple in every industry, everything. Even if I'm just getting down to you know, the nitty gritty, writing like my emails and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a whole nother world.
Yeah, learn to utilize it as a tool and not a crutch.
Yeah, in terms of tech, and let's put it this way, man. I want to make this clear, right? Because I think there's this huge like, you know, gray area when it comes to ChatGPT. Look, a lot of people are saying, yeah, you can become an expert overnight, and you can to a certain extent. But the way I look at it this way, if you're good at something,
right, and
then you learn to adapt AI and ChatGPT, you're now good on steroids.
Right,
you're an expert overnight. Right. So if you already have a pre-existing skill set, and then you're open to using AI and ChatGPT,
I like
skyrocketed.
I like that caveat there,
you skyrocketed. And it's important because you still need to know how to word it to use it. You still need to put a little bit of input.
Have that pre-existing.
Exactly. You need to have that pre-existing skill set, then ChatGPT blows you up. Like if I'm I'll put it right now, man. If I'm a
because the way it's being presented is as if you can go from, which if you're smart enough, potentially, but you can go from not being great at something to being great at something.
Yeah, like I think when you get down to it in terms of like business or like anything, like I think if you really wanted to and you really like, you could outsource for every single little aspect of your business. But if you don't have at least some sort of knowledge or skill set, you're either going to get screwed over from your team, or you just not gonna. It's gonna be messy.
Yeah,
you don't even
somebody's going to come and get you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So like I said, like if I'm like a copywriter or a sales copywriter right now, like then I'm loving life. I'm on my skills are on steroids right now. If I'm any sort of like anybody who does anything in terms of literature or anything like that, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And I think over the next year, it's just going to progress even more and more and more and more. It's just going to explode. And I think it's going to take over every industry of everything. And I just think that's where the world's headed. And I think the biggest thing about that is it's, you know, humans can't stop ourselves. Look at TikTok. Like look at the TikTok thing, man. They want it faster, quicker, now, cheaper. That's it. That's where humans are taking everything.
I like that you said that, but the only pushback I can offer for the naysayers is that we will advance, but things do come back.
They do. I love how you said that.
Like you're saying, Instagram going back to photos, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel as if we just miss some things after a while. I mean, everything's like vintage now and replicas and all of that. So if you get great at something, learn to utilize tools that can obviously make you greater.
Yeah.
But the whole purpose of being the best you, right?
Yeah.
Like you talked about is you want to be you need to be a professional. You need to be good at something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Even if it's just good at talking.
Yeah.
You need to be great at that. And then use things like ChatGPT or any of these AI tools that are coming out so that you can be more profitable, you know, reach more people. Like you can't just sit around and think that every new thing that comes out, try to hop on.
No, man.
Because you're going to be, like you said, you're going to be chasing trends, and that's never going to be beneficial for you.
There's no secret code to success. There's no hack for hard work. There's nothing, you know what I mean? I want to say two things is like look at the NFT thing. I never really dove too deep into NFTs, I'll be honest, but like you can see the way the NFTs work, like, right? Like the NFT thing exploded,
right,
and then it kind of came back down, and now we're starting to get where I think NFTs are going to be long term, and I think it's going to be the same thing with AI. I think it's going to go too far, it's going to be too much, and then it's going to go back to where it's going to be just enough, like you said.
And we were, I was talking to Sis about that. We were, you can't. Success doesn't happen overnight.
No, it don't.
Like you said, you've been doing something for a decade.
Yeah,
that's a decade of work.
Yeah.
You got to have a body of work. You got to bump your head a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
You got to run into certain things, and then you start performing. Then you start, like you said, getting into a place where you could even get comfortable and content because you're doing so well, but you have that body of work that you got to that point. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And like you said, and that's kind of always where I've been different, right? In terms of like an entrepreneurial aspect. I know certain entrepreneurs that will jump from wave to wave, hey man, let's do this. Let's do stocks. Let's do NFTs. Let's do drop shipping. Let's do this. They go from wave to wave to wave. And that's just not my thing because I'm more, and this is going to sound cliche because let me be honest. I mean, money is everything. Money is it. Make no mistake. Money is important. But for me, I'm not chasing money. I'm more focused on creative passions. I want to just live a life off my passions, and that's what's most important to me. If I wanted to let go of my passions and just chase from trend to trend to trend, I've got time. I could do that, but that's not me. That's not what I like to do. I don't see any value for me in that.
Just being as big of an influencer, do you still get people who hit you up and say, "Hey man, how can I do this so quick?" Or how can I get with this brand?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I've seen you work with so many brands over the last couple of years. Not to say you weren't doing that before.
Right.
But do you ever get offended when someone is like, "Hey, man, look, I
used to.
I do fashion. I'm fly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do I just get a brand to sign me?" And not to say that shouldn't happen, right? You're not a gatekeeper, but that doesn't. It don't rub you the wrong way at all,
dude. It used to, but I have to deploy empathy, humility. I got to be humble about it. I got to be respectful. I got to understand because I've been in that person's.
Yeah, but you ain't put in no work.
No, trust me, it does. Like, I had a kid come up to me at the skate park one time. He's like, man, I want to be a model like you. I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah. So when can we do it? I'm like, bro, what? And it's just like the level of I'm like, what?
Right.
I'm like, dude, what? I'm like, you want to go be a model? Then,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Figure it out how I figured it out.
Like even that. Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't want to help you. You didn't even do anything.
Yeah, bro. Like what's in it for me, bro? Like let's just. I mean, like I'm not trying to be that much of a dick.
Right.
But
when you come to people, I remember coming to you and asking you for advice, and I said, like, what can I do for you, or how can I reciprocate something to you for the advice you gave me.
You
were
understood
like,
it.
And you was like, nah, bro, I feel good helping somebody. Like, thank you.
Well,
like, that was our first introduction, remember?
Yeah, absolutely, I remember. And I just had a similar thing like that the other day. My boy hit me and was like, hey, man, my friend's starting a clothing brand, and I told him, you might know something. I'm like, cool, what's the stuff? And he texted me, and I just recorded like a 5-minute video on my phone, and I texted to him. I'm like, yeah, like that. I just like taking the time to do that stuff.
Right, but it's coming to somebody with something like, hey, like, and now we're doing this, right? You know what I'm saying? It's how can I help you before I even ask you how can you help me? You know what I'm saying?
For sure. And I want to be clear. Like, I want to say, like especially, somebody like you or anybody, like a creator, an entrepreneur, like, I think you get it. Like, you understand, like, in any sort of transaction, you got to be able to bring some sort of value to the table. Right. Or else you're just asking for shit. And that's one thing. Like, if you want to just ask for shit, just ask for it. But, like, if you can bring value to somebody, then you're in the game. Yeah. Then you've opened the door. If you guys can exchange value together. That's
a network now. Instead of just some get-rich relationship, or you burn the bridge that potentially you'll run into that person in the future.
Mm-hmm. And I said this before, and I will say it again, because it's kind of like there's two ways to look at it. And I've also said, like, at the same time, if you don't ask, the answer will always be no. Right. So if you feel like you could bring value to a situation, just reach out. Right. You know how many, like, there's stories, and even now too, like with how connected we are on social media, like, send that person a message. Right. Tweet them, hey man, this is what I'm doing. I think we could do this together. You never know. Right. It could work. Because if the worst comes to worst, they leave you on red, they say no, well, at least you tried. Right. You know what I mean? At least you tried. Move on to the next situation.
But don't come in begging.
No, yeah, absolutely not. Don't come in begging. But yeah, like you said, man, no, it doesn't really rub me the wrong way. It used to. I have to be, because now I look at it like, well, hey, man, I must be doing something right. If I got all these people asking me, how can they do this? Well, I must be doing something right then. But like from an outside looking in, it used to piss me off when I'd see people be like, they'd like post on Facebook, like, hey, I decided I want to be a model today. So who can come shoot for me? Who's going to do this? Like, geez, man, it's like, you're not going to do anything with that mindset. Like, you got to be able to learn how to do everything on your own. I mean, you're a podcaster. I'm sure you started learning, how can I record? How can I do this? What do I need to do this? What do I need to... Exactly. And see, the real people, the people who understand, that's why it's like, dude, the people who understand what it takes to become successful at something, that's why you'll start to be like, no, I'm not jumping on every single thing because I know what I had to do just to get to where I'm at in this, man. I'm not doing this again.
You gotta be a professional somewhere before you can even think about touching other things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotta have a single-minded focus for something for a certain amount of time.
You do.
Just to even experience just the trials and tribulations that you go through trying to build something, even if that is not a success or not as successful. Now, like when you go pivot, like you said, you've made just a couple of pivots, a small sidestep, and boom, things are performing at such a greater rate for you.
I've fell victim to that a lot in my life, trying to do too much at once. I get so many ideas, I get so many creative ideas.
You're creative, bro.
Yeah, exactly. I want to jump on everything, and it's like, no, you got to jump all in on one. Just take it one thing at a time. You can't ignite every flame that you come across. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to just go all in on one thing. And in the long run, that pays off. But it's a tough thing. That's why I've experimented with so many different things creatively in my life, and it's like, all right, you know what I mean? Like let's chill for a minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're never gonna get all in on one thing if you don't just really dive in on it and put the work on it. It's tough to not jump on every little idea you have or this and that. And
that's how they get you, though. That's how they get you in the wheel, bro.
Yeah, and there's no.
It's like, oh, this is new.
Yeah.
This will make you money. This will make you money. And you're always chasing gold instead of building something that's sustainable for years.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But
hit it on the head.
As always,
let's go.
We gotta go. We gotta go to Twitter with Dodd.
Let's go.
We gotta go to Twitter with Dodd because Dodd.
Let's go, man.
I gotta see where you at sometimes, man. Because I only go to Twitter for you, bro.
I appreciate that, bro.
Like real rap. I go to Twitter. I'm seeing what Dodd is saying.
That's Twitter's. I've always
and you
loved Twitter.
never let me down.
Let's go.
All right. So what was the thought process when you put "be real, not perfect"?
Simple, bro. You know what I mean? And that's exactly just a nice little cherry on top of the cake of everything I've been going through in my life. Like, all you can expect out of yourself is just to be you. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're never going to please everybody. You're never going to be perfect at everything. All you can do is just be you.
And I hate because this is the Keep It Uplifting podcast, in case you guys don't know, but streaming on all platforms as well. And leave a like for the YouTube algorithm if you stuck around this long.
Let's go.
But Dodd, you talked about how great things have been. You haven't gotten any pushback. Has it been lonely? You've made a bunch of changes, and this "be real, not perfect" seemed like it was something may have clicked or something may have happened. I'm being messy right now.
Yeah, let's go. But yeah, man. Look, man. In terms of pushback, yeah, dude, for sure. Like certain relationships, friendships in my life, or some things like that. Again, I really just had to come to terms with, like, man, are we gonna do this or are we not? Right. You know what I mean? And it's like, you got to just let some shit go. You got that's something I've always struggled with.
How painful is that? Because for me, it hurts, man. It's hard.
It's hard at first, but after a little while and after a few weeks, few months and stuff like that, bro. When I say I went through a change, I deleted numbers. I muted all my text notifications. I jumped out of all chats on social media, and I just really was starting to realize how I'm spending my energy, because you don't realize how other people can take your energy from you and just put negative thoughts in your head. And hey, man, just because shit sucks for you doesn't mean it needs to suck for me. And again, that was one of those things. It was like, man, how are you going to play yourself like this? How are you doing this to yourself? Like, why are you going to let these people do this? Come on, man. You know what I mean? It's like, let's get some control of your fucking life, let's go, So it's like, I just had to essentially just really just go all in on myself. And, a friend of mine, because this is something, and I want to say this, a friend, something I've always struggled with. I have a bit of a spiritual, religious side to myself, and then I also have a bit of a more like life, expectancy side of myself. So I always struggle with certain situations. When I'm in a situation I know is not good for me, whether it's a job, a friendship, a relationship, I'm like, man, this isn't good for me. I need to get out of this. I'm like, but is is God putting me here for a reason because I'm supposed to help this person and I'm supposed to help uplift this person out of this situation, or am I being tested that these people are pulling me back in and I need to be strong enough to move out? And I brought this up to a good friend of mine, and he said, look, man, like if you got to lower yourself to help other people, then you're not helping them. You're only hurting yourself. Yeah. And I'm like, damn, that's what really helped click with me, because it was like, all right, well, if I just go ghost my absence, they're going to realize like, oh, well, clearly this situation wasn't working out for him. So it must, we're not doing something right. And then it's just crazy. Once I did that and I just went ghost on certain situations in my life, just seeing weeks and months of them coming back around and realizing, and then like I haven't talked to them. Hey, they open up the conversation with me. Hey, I'm working really hard too, man. I've been in the gym. I've been doing this, and it's like, okay, so I just accomplished what I was trying to accomplish by staying around there. Right. They got it. They understood. Yeah. Like we need to let's get better at what we're doing here, guys. Like, come on. Right. Yeah. Yeah, man. I like the tweet because you said focus. You got another one here. Focus on bettering yourself first. Yep. I mean, you've been dropping these gems. If you're not following Chris Dodd BR on Twitter, let's go. You got to get your life together. My actual handle on Twitter is @Christopher.Dodd. My bad. So the reason is because I got verified @Christopher Dodd, and if I change it, I'll lose my blue tick. Right. And so I'm like, man, I really want to let that @ go, but for obvious reasons. But it is what it is. It's all good. But Twitter has always been that was my first form of social media that I jumped on, and Twitter was, dude, at the time in my life I was going through. Do you think Twitter's dead? No, I think it's coming back like crazy right now. Alive and well. Oh yeah, I think it's. Booming. I'm happy right now because I've always been on Twitter and I've just stayed on Twitter. You feel like it's back? I feel like it's coming back. I feel like because everyone said for a while it was like it's Twitter, but it's not. No, Twitter. I feel like just from a business aspect, everything that went on with it this year with Elon Musk buying it, I think there's more attention on Twitter than there has been in a really long time, and it serves its purpose for me. I like it. I enjoy it. Like I said, Twitter originally for me was for me to really just go and vent my emotions, vent my thoughts. And at the time when I first started getting on Twitter, I was like 21, 22, and I was going through some stuff that I thought was crazy for me. So I would just share that on Twitter, and to see people relate to that was huge for me. I loved it. And that's why I always go to Twitter. Man, sometimes if I'm in my day-to-day routine, if something that pops in my head or I learn something, I'm like, let me take to Twitter and tweet this real quick and just put it out and see what happens. Because you said you said always bet on yourself, man. Elaborate on that one for me, and that's the last one. Yeah. Of Twitter with Dodd. Got you. So yeah, always bet on yourself. That's just always putting yourself, your goals, your visions, your dreams ahead of anybody else's, and just kind of trying to stay true to your visions. You have at some point as an entrepreneur, as a creator, as anybody who wants to accomplish something, like, let's be real, it gets scary, but it's up to you. It's not, it's nobody else is going to do anything for you. It's up to you. So it's either you're going to make it happen. No one's going to make it happen for you. So you got to bet on yourself. You got to take those risks. You got to put yourself out there. If you want to accomplish anything, you have to, because it comes down to you. No one, like, especially in the world we are now, dude, like, the sooner you realize nobody gives a fuck, the more powerful you're going to be. Yeah. Like, dude, there's billion-dollar corporations, entertainment companies that can't even pull your interest in. You think your neighbor Sally's going to give a fuck because you stubbed your toe? Right. You know what I mean? I just started my business. Yeah, that's great. Well, I got bills too. Nobody fucking cares. Nobody cares. You don't mind that cuss on here. It's cool, man. Right. Yeah, I'm like. I told you. Yeah, sorry. But no, I was, it's funny because we was talking about it earlier that everyone comes on. The podcast is changing, so everyone comes on here. They're like, "Can I curse?" I'm like, yeah, you could curse. Cool. But last question for you before we get out of here, man. Yeah. And I've been asking every guest this. What's next? Again, man, I'm just a man who's on a pursuit of seeing what I can do with this life. I want to take it as far as I can. I don't want to look. That's something I'm so terrified of, is I don't want to look back and be like, but what if I did this? What if I tried this? What if I just tried a little bit harder? What if, I was comfortable and this might work for the rest of my life, but what if I pushed it? I don't want to be left with that. Yeah. I mean, the last time I had a full-time job, like the full-time job I had, I'm like, man, I could just ride it out like this. I could just work here. And then that shit just ate me up. It's like, but I could just try harder. I could just do more. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I want to tell you something real quick, like a little story. So I have a friend I have a friend named John Black, right?
Yeah.
And when we were 19, and this kid is just a physical specimen, and he always has been. But when we were like younger, we're getting a little bit older. It's
Yeah.
But when we were like 19, 20, he was just a statue. You know what I mean? Like this kid. And I remember we were all like super excited for him. He got requested to come train with this guy down in Florida. He was gonna I think he was gonna train for a show or something. Whatever. Long story short. He went out there and he trained with this guy in Florida, and he came back and he pulls out of his car and he's like, man, I'm hurting. I'm like, you're hurt? What do you mean? He's like, bro, we worked out so hard. I'm like, tell us about it. Like, what happened? He's like, this guy told me that, like, and he like the biggest thing he told me, he's like, yeah, so this guy, like when we were working out, he's like, man, when you're in the gym and you think you're pushing it and you think you're doing hard, bro, you haven't even tapped into how hard you can go. You're not fucking working hard. You're not even close. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, bro, if this guy who's like this statue, he's not working hard enough. Yeah. I'm like, what the? And it scared like that whole concept. Crazy. Yeah. I'm like, right. He like, can work
there's harder? Another gear.
Yeah. I'm like, what? and so that like at the time I was nowhere even close to even wanting to like understand that or take that, but I kind of just put it in my pocket. And I was like, nah, I don't want to hear that shit. Like, you know what I mean? I wasn't even anywhere close back then, but that's something I kind of pulled back out of my pocket recently in life. I'm like, man, I think I'm working hard, but I could be working so much harder. I could be doing so much more. I could be pushing myself so much more. Like I'm not even close to being tapped into what I think I can tap into. Sure. And once I discovered that for myself, it's just crazy. And again, sometimes I overthink things, but then it's like, I'm reading this book right now. I'm reading, I approached this mindset myself. I learned this myself. I'm reading this David Goggins book right now. And he's like all on that. And I'm like, this is the perfect timing for this. I mean, this is crazy. So it's just like, and then I have to chalk that up to, well, I opened my eyes up. I you know what I mean? So now I'm more receptive to stuff like that. Yeah,
so, you lost I won't say you lost. You let some things go. Yeah. And it gave you space and room for other things to enter into your life.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like that's it just from a physical point. Like I cut out all the weight, and then I had more room and more energy to do more things. I cut off certain things in my life. I cut out certain relationships. I trimmed the fat, every aspect of my life. And it was just amazing how all these new opportunities and blessings and good things in my life started pouring in once I got rid of all the dead weight. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you just got to make that choice. You just got it's straight up. And as men, that's what it is too. You got to look at yourself and it's like, do I want this or do I not?
Yes, sir.
Am I going to do this or am I not? And so yeah.
Yeah, man. We out of here.
Let's get it.
We are finished. The man Dodd gave us a beautiful episode, short and sweet, to the point.
Yes, sir.
He was coming in, punching all kind of gems.
Let's go.
You wanted to play this one back, man.
Dude, seriously, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
My boy's a legend, man.
Let's get it.
I appreciate you, Brody.
Oh, yeah. Let's go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We out.
Make sure to like, comment, share, and most importantly, keep it uplifting.
Take it up, listen.